Shalom, Shavua Tov, a good week. Welcome to our daily class of Rebbe Nachman on Patreon. We are starting a new Torah tonight, which is always exciting for me because it's new ground that's really very old, but it always comes back new. And the 21st Torah is going to do something that Rebbe Nachman does over and over, and I'm just calling our attention to it, that he starts out with a verse from the Zohar, and then he brings a verse from the Chumash and Rashi, and then he brings a verse from Tehillim. And like, well, which way are we going here? We got Zohar, Rashi, Chumash, and Tehillim. But the three of these he's going to weave together into a most amazing tapestry of new insights and ideas. So he begins with these three different headlines in order to kind of like wake our mind up to different levels at once. And we're going to come back to them later in the Torah. So we begin Torah 21, Pirka Rivra de Sifra de Tznuta, the fourth chapter of the book of the hidden, of the Zohar, Atika Tamir Vasatim, the ancient, hidden and sealed one. The part of God that nobody has access to. Nobody. And then he begins, V'halotcha et hanerot, and then your elevation of the candles in the Beit HaMikdash, Rashi says, that when they light the candelabra in the Mikdash, it's not a matter of just putting the flame to the wick. We have to wait till the flame is completely full and risen on its own, and then remove the match, or the stick, or whatever was used. And that was all the first two introductions. Now we get, it's written, Achor v'kerem tzartani, King David said, before me and in front of me, I have tzarot, tzartani, I've been suffered behind me and in front of me. Wherever I go, things seem to happen. That's King David, of course. V'ki yesh sechol, now he begins his own words. After all that, there is an intelligence. She'adam misig oto aidei hakdamot rabot. That a person will receive this intelligence through many, many introductions. First grade, second grade, first class, second class, etc., etc. There are many introductions to all wisdoms and all sciences that we learn. And this intelligence, hazeh mechuneh b'shem achor, and it is nicknamed in Kabbalah language achor, the backside of the head, not the face, rather the backside, which is always indicative of the place of disconnection, or the place of external forces. And this intelligence that's called Achor, yesh sechel, however, that is not this way. Shebal adam lo shum hakdamot. It comes to a person without any long, lengthy, arduous introductions. It just flashes in a person's mind. He gets this new intelligence, not by doing the hard work of opening all the books and sitting in there in the library till after it's closed. That used to be the best time in the library, no? But anyways, those hakdamot are hard work for a person to get a grasp on something with human intelligence. But then there's this other kind of intelligence, listen closely, that you get very quickly, without introduction. And the enthusiasm that's born in the heart comes from the movement of the mind. In other words, your mind is thinking, and all that movement of thought is creating heat, literally. And it goes down into your heart, and it creates enthusiasm. And remember, the word enthusiasm is entheos. It means to be in God. So it sounds like a good parallel state between the English and the Greek for that word. And that hitlavut alev nolad mechamat tenot hasechel, because the mind is moving, it creates heat. And that heat goes to the heart, and guess what? B'shem panim, and this is called the face. It's no longer called the backside, the achor, it's called the face, the place of connection. We find sha'idei shefa eloki, and therefore we find that this breath, this heat that is given over because of the speed of the mind and the thinking of a person, it creates the heat. It al yedei, this brings shefa eloki, godly life force. It's not shefa that you create by your looking through all the books. It's shefa that comes to you because of your enthusiasm. And this is called shefa eloki sha'maskel sha'sechel nishpa la'adam b'mirut. And he gets this new intelligence very quickly. She'ein tzarich l'shtamesh b'shum hakdama, and he doesn't need any introductions. He doesn't need to read about this idea and that idea and to get all these different opinions about the idea. He simply is enthusiastic with his learning, and all of a sudden the inspiration comes down. Whereas the other model of learning, where we're struggling and working through many introductions of understanding before we get the idea, that takes a lot of work and time. But this one, the Seichel Eloki, the godly intelligence, that comes very fast. So which would you rather have? Aval, now he tells us, La'agia lebechinat shef Eloki, to get to this level of divine nourishment, life force, brain power, if you will, because it's all one. It's impossible to get to that. It's impossible to get that unless a person first sanctifies his mouth and his nose and his eyes and his ears. All the sense organs that are in the head need to be sanctified. That means I only hear holy things, I see holy things, I smell holy things, and I speak holy things. When that is accomplished, then one has purified his tools of perception. And that's what's going to help him get this fast-working divine intelligence. So he goes to tell us, Hen hen be'irim lo shef eloki, and this illuminates to him the divine inspiration. Sheshahayinu shishmor et atzmo milotzi sheker mipiv. So now he goes through the list. The first thing we have to do is prevent ourselves from saying anything that is false. V'yelo yirat shamayim, and he needs to have yirat shamayim, which is connected to the nose. The mouth, speak right, speak good. The nose, breathe with the fear of God when you breathe, and not the fear of man, or Mars for that matter, or viruses. And that's the nose. And then the third category is Shu Bechinet, that's Chotem Bechinat Ba'odnim, and the idea of the nose is Harichu B'yirat Hashem. He smelled, he sensed, he smelled the year of God. Shieh lo emunat hachamim, and that's the idea of faith in the rabbis, that they too have Ruach HaKodesh. You know, you have to believe in other people's inspiration and not just your own. And you have to really believe in both. V'atalui ba'odnim, and the hearing and having faith in the rabbis is connected to the ears. So if I don't have faith in the other guy, the other rabbi, which, you know, when we're talking about these ancient greats, we can't really even understand who they are or the greatness of their achievements because of what they lived and how they lived and what they produced. But nonetheless, this yirat hachamim, this emunat hachamim, the fear of them depends on the ears. Shama divrei hachamim, that the Mishlei, King Solomon said in Mishlei, hear the words of the hachamim. Don't just listen and, you know, enough for me. Every single word demands interpretation of the rabbis. And he should close his eyes from seeing anything evil. Because all these organs are that which enable us to arouse the divine inspiration. Shef Eloki, which divine, it really means divine nourishment or life force. Now, Lavoki, Hapeh, V'achotem, V'anayim, V'oznaim, V'tuluim, B'moach, and all these organs, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, are all dependent on the brain. Right? Of course, that's not a new idea. But what is he going to tell us? That we want our brain at this level where the brain is aroused by our senses, that we don't just see life and move on. We don't smell a flower and move on. We don't hear wise words and just let it go. No, the opposite. We take what we hear and smell and see and speak seriously because we know sparks of God are inside there. And when you know that, you learn to listen to yourself and others. Because I'll miss something for sure, and I don't want to miss something. Because when you know that Hashem is expressing himself through everyone, everywhere, at all times, then why miss, out on a chance to connect? So this idea illuminates the brain. And once the brain is illuminated, which is the idea, he tells us, of the face, Zeu bechinat rosh devarcha emet. That this is the idea of the first of your words is truth. Always begin with truth. If you don't know what to say, start with the truth. Simple as it might be. You ever notice someone that starts a speech, well, I'm really nervous right now. That's a very good way to break the nervousness. Because the minute you speak it, it's out, it's over. You break the ice. So start with your truth, wherever and whatever it is. Okay, and this is the idea of the brain, which is connected, of course, to the mouth. When it's done so, Reishit Chochma Yirat Hashem, we get to the level of the beginning of wisdom is awe. The beginning of wisdom is not wisdom. People think, oh, well, if I want to learn wisdom, I need to learn wisdom. No, the beginning of wisdom has to have awe of the one who's giving you the wisdom, or you will not receive it properly. And you won't be able to hold it properly and use it properly. Now, when we talk about the brain and the nose, Zeh bechinat moach, Reishit chochma yirat Hashem, Zeh ne'emar, etzel chotem, Zeh bechinat chochach, lo chacham, v'havucha. Rebuke the wise and he will love you. Now that's a sign of a truly wise person. If you tell him something and he accepts it and he appreciates it and he loves you for your little bit of rebuke that you might say to somebody who's wise or elder or learned, etc., the one who's really wise will love you for it because you become his teacher at that moment. I've had a lot of chances to have that at the Yeshiva Mekubalim because I'm the little guy on the block, And it's good that way. I always wanted it to be that way. And that's the reality too. Because, when you're around the great rabbis, you learn quickly your place. You learn really, relax. Take your seat. Be attention, pay attention. Oh, yeah, okay. So the wise will love you when you rebuke them. This is another aspect of the brain, which is part of the nose. The ears. Which is an aspect of Shema Divrei Chachamim. Listen to the words of the wise. This is the idea of what the Torah tells us about Adam and Eve. When they ate from the fruit, their eyes were opened. They suddenly saw creation in a different way, not the way we see it today in duality. Before, they didn't see it that way. Now they are after this event with the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Again, this is the idea of the eyes. Hedhem Shivat Nerot, and these are called the 7 lights of the candle, of the candelabra. Your 2 ears, your 2 eyes, your 2 nostrils, and your mouth. Those equal 7. That is the 7 lights of the menorah. Uminarta da resha. And from this comes the head, the Zohar says, Ayinu Amoach, which is the brain power itself. Penei menorah, Ayinu Shef Eloki. And the face of the menorah would grant a person divine sustenance, life force, mental power. So these are things we need. We need help. I don't think we have the time or the endurance to learn the way they used to learn. But if we learn with enthusiasm, we can get intelligence very fast from Hashem, according to what the Rebbe teaches right here. So this is worthy of practicing, but the main thing, of course, is to sanctify our eyes, ears, nose, and mouth from the things that we don't need to hear, say, do, or think. And then automatically the mind becomes a pure channel to illuminate with what he calls the menorah. So it's a good way to start the week, and I bless all of you with holy sights and holy hearing and holy smells, holy sense and holy speech. God bless you all the best.